Hotel World. This your brother, Matthew Daniels, aka Ampu, aka The Chosen Few, aka The Real Bookworm. I'm not a bookworm, I'm the real bookworm. Make sure you get it right. And as always, world, may your name live on forever and may your memory never die. Hotel, and cheers to that. I got some exciting news for you guys. My third novel is available on Amazon.com. I have it in paperback form for $10, and I have it in ebook form for $1.99. So what I want you guys to do, I want you guys to go to Amazon.com. I want you to type in Big Game Hunting by Matthew Daniels. I want you to look up my new book, Big Game Hunting by Matthew Daniels, on Amazon.com, and I want you to get that paperback version of the book, or I want you to get the ebook version of the book. Now, you guys know that I've been promoting this book for a while, letting you guys know that I was working on it. Now, this book is all fact, no fiction. This is a non-fiction novel, and what I do with this work, I present to you guys 10 years worth of research into police corruption within Texas City, Texas, right? I cover a span of about 2 decades. And what I do in this book, I 100% prove with the documentation, right? I prove emphatically, irrefutably, that the Texas City police officers who are charged with protecting the citizens of Texas City and enforcing the laws were some of the biggest criminals in Texas City, right? I document police officers breaking every kind of law imaginable, and I prove it with the paperwork. I'm talking about Texas City officers committing murder, right? I'm talking about Texas City police officers committing rape, okay? Committing sexual harassment, right? Sexual assault. I'm talking about officers assaulting members of the community. I'm talking about Texas City police officers violating the citizens' constitutional rights. I'm talking about cover-ups, right? I'm talking about officers being involved in illegal arms deals. I'm talking about, I have documented proof of the mayor of Texas City, not the current mayor. This is some research I did into the past, but the mayor of Texas City covering up felonies that were committed by a Texas City police officer. And what I do in this book, not only do I present you with the narrative, not only do I tell you what happened, and not only do I explain who the major players are, but I also show you the documentation, family. In this book, Big Game Hunting, I actually have the testimony of lawyers. Okay, I have the PDF files of the lawsuits and what the lawsuits stated and who the lawsuits implemented in these cases. Okay, I show you officers themselves being arrested, officers themselves pleading guilty, and I show you the outcome of several of these cases. I also dive into, you can't have a good cover-up, right, without some type of media backing. So I'm going to show you guys in this book where the police chief accused the mayor and the city attorney of covering up felonies committed by officers that he was trying to expose. And what this police chief said was that the mayor and the city attorney had people working for the Texas City Sun, the major newspaper outlet at that time, who were writing disparaging stories about the police chief to discredit him as a whistleblower, exposing the corruption and the illicit activity. And so what I do, I show you emphatically the editor of the Texas City Sun why it's plausible that he would have been a participant in this cover-up, because this particular reporter turned editor, he himself had dirt on his record. I show you that he was picked up and charged with prostitution. Okay, he was actually found guilty of this charge, and he actually received 6 months probation, right? But when he was picked up for this charge of prostitution, he was actually on the run for 2 theft charges. Okay, I show you in this book a police officer, right? A police officer got busted in a prostitution sting while on his off day riding around in his patrol car. I show you another Texas City officer who was trying to scam FEMA out of money after a hurricane hit. He got hit with scamming charges, right? He was trying to defraud the government and he got exposed. That I'll show evidence of the former police chief of Lamar, Chief Randall Oregon. I show him getting fired from his job for unethical reasons. Okay, unethical reasons. He was charging people and making people pay him to do what the police department would have did for free. But since he was the chief, he was deflecting and not allowing the police departments to do it, and he was making them pay him to do it in a private capacity, and he lost his job as well, right? It's been several rallies inside it right here in Texas City. I document those rallies, okay? So what I'm just gonna say is what you need to do, you need to go get this book. And you need to go get this book before someone tries to take this book off the shelves. Because like I'm telling you, I don't just tell you the story. I don't just name the names. I put the documentation inside of the book. As you're reading the book, you're going to see the newspaper articles. I didn't just quote them. You're going to see the newspaper articles. You're going to see the email correspondence, right, between me and reporters at the Galveston County Daily News, between me and several police officers, right? You're going to see the lawsuits filed, and you're going to see Texas City police officers testifying, right, and making quotes claiming that their fellow officers are breaking the law. You have whistleblowers within the Texas City Police Department who went on record exposing what these other Texas City police officers were doing. And it's me doing my research, I acquired these records. There was a survey taken within the Texas City Police Department, and with that survey, I actually went and got the presentation. Okay, if you know how to research, you know how to research. I went and got the presentation, and I put the presentation in the book so you can see the questions that the Texas City police officers were asked, and you can see their answers. There are things like this right here, where they are asked if they trust one another, if officers trust the other officers that they work with. And you see the overwhelming majority admit that there is no trust within the Texas City Police Department. And so you have to ask yourself one real serious question. If the Texas City police officers don't trust other Texas City police officers, then why should the citizens trust them? You have officers admitting that their fellow officers are egotistical, right? Narcissistic, right? And they take out their own personal beefs and vendettas on their fellow officers. So if an officer will violate his coworker, another individual with a badge, what do you think they would do to the average everyday citizen? You know? So what I want you guys to do, I want you guys to go to Amazon.com. I want you to type in Big Game Hunting by Matthew Daniels. You have to get this book. Listen to me. You have to get this book. If you're not in this area, you need to get this book so you can understand what was going on, right? I've had several cops, right? I tell the story of how one cop, Officer Reynolds, he came to me at my job and he told me that he had a package for me. And when I asked him, what's the package? What's in the package? What do you mean? And he told me that he knew of my work alongside my brother, Joshua Daniels. He knew the work that we were doing going against the police department. And so he said that he had a package for me, right, that was going to expose everything that was going on inside of the Texas City Police Department. He admitted that they were corrupt. He admitted that they were violating the law. He admitted that they were violating policies. He admitted this. He admitted that there were officers who had assaulted other officers, and the assault was being covered up by the administration. They told me this, so I recount these stories to you, but then I bring the documented evidence to prove it. Officer Darren Allen. There was an officer named, I tell you the story about how Officer Darren Allen, he came to me much in the same respect. He said that he was being railroaded by his own department, right? He said that he was being railroaded and lied on, and charges were being falsely applied to him. He was being falsely accused of crimes, right? And he said that he needed help to basically like clean up his name. You know what I mean? He needed help to um clean his name and go against his superior officers that were targeting him. So what ended up happening was there were internal investigations, right? Internal affairs investigations into the Tech City Police Department. They brought in a group named CLEAT. Now, CLEAT is a group of lawyers who represent police officers when those police officers are being violated by their superiors and other officers. So there were several trials, right? There were several trials where Tech City police officers were were going to court and battling with their superiors, with the police chief and with the captains and with the lieutenants, Chief Burby, Captain Stanton, who's now the chief, but he was captain at the time, and the lieutenant, right? They were going directly against them. And so I have the court documents. I have the court documents of what Burby, Stanton, and Pope were accusing Darren Allen of. I have the court documents of his lawyer's defense, and I show that he was basically acquitted of a lot of the charges. Reynolds was acquitted of a lot of the charges, and it exposed that they were being unjustly attacked and unjustly prosecuted by their own department. And so what the documentation also shows is one of the reasons that they were going after Darren Allen is because he was a member of something that was called the FIT team, the Field Investigation Team. Now, a lot of this corruption is centered around this FIT team, okay? And he was accused of assaulting another officer who was a part of the FIT team. But this officer, a female officer named Arthur Lee, okay, Officer Arthur Lee, she had like a how the officer described it is she had like a protected status. This FIT team was held above the rest of the officers, and they was held above the law. So this guy Darren Allen, he wasn't willing to go along with the illegal activity of the FIT team, and so they had to get him out the way. Okay, they had to get him out the way. And one of the reasons that they tried to get him out the way is they trumped up charges on him to try to discredit him and to have a reason to fire him and to have a reason to push him out of the Tech City Police Department. So I have all the files documenting that. I even have the files that Officer Arthur Lee has a record, right? She has a record. She has theft charges on her record, and she has driving, I think it's driving without a license or driving with a suspended license or no insurance, something like that. But she has some that on her records. The documentation is in the book. I pulled up her record and I presented to you guys. But what I want you guys to understand is Tech City Police Department is corrupt. The officers committed several crimes. I proved these crimes with newspaper articles, eyewitness testimony, lawyer statements, court documents, Tech City police officers' statements. It's all there. Emails, it's all there. It's all in the book. All you have to do is read the book, and you're gonna come away with that, and you're gonna understand exactly what's been going on behind the scenes and under your nose within the Tech City Police Department. I'm 100% sure. I'm 100% sure that as this book goes out, because people are already buying it, as this book goes out and people start reading this information and people start talking about this information, there's going to be some type of pushback against me. I know it. I know it's coming. I understand that it's coming because the stuff that I reveal is explosive information, and the trick is I prove it. So I'm wondering how they're going to try to fight back. A lot of times they try to say slander, defamation of character, conspiracy theory, or they try to say that you're lying. Okay, now if I would have just presented the story, they probably would have said all of that. But when I show the documents themselves, and when I show the police officers saying these things themselves, what are they going to do then? I even have, look, in the book, I even have documented records of a Texas City police officer saying that sexual harassment was a major problem within the Texas City Police Department. So I could be on the outside looking in, and I can say that there are sexual deviants within the Texas City Police Department. And an individual will look at me as like, oh, Matt, you're lying. You're a conspiracy theorist. You know, you're making stuff up. Okay, you're slandering them. That's defamation of character. What if I step back and I don't say that it's sexual deviance within the Texas City Police Department? What if I show you a guy who was once the interim chief right? Who worked for the Texas Police Department for years, right? What if I show you him saying that sexual harassment is a major problem within the Texas City Police Department? Would you believe it then that these guys are sexual deviants? Right? Would you believe it then that these guys are sexual deviants? And then what if I show you a Texas City officer being found guilty of sexual harassment? What if I show you that? Not just being found guilty, but pleading guilty, signing on the dotted line. What if I show you that? What if I show you a judge, right? What if I show you a judge, an honorable judge, Susan Chris? What if I show you an honorable judge in this area, Susan Chris, saying that she was sexually harassed by a Texas City police officer? Would you believe her? You won't believe me. But I'm going to bring these other people to the table, right? If I was to show you a Texas City Police Chief, Robert Circle, if I was to show you a Texas City Police Chief, right, saying that he was forced to resign because he went to the DA's office and told them that he had personal knowledge of a cop committing felonies. And because he was a whistleblower, because he tried to snitch on one of his own officers for committing felonies, Mayor Garza forced him to resign. Now, I can say that, oh, it was a cop committing felonies, and you may not believe me. But if I show you the police chief saying that it's a Texas City cop committing felonies, you're more inclined to believe it. And then if I say that, the mayor was trying to enforce a cover-up for this cop committing felonies, you may not believe it. But what if I show you the police chief himself saying that the mayor forced him to resign as part of a cover-up for this cop that was committing felonies? You're more inclined to believe it, right? And then what if I show you the same cop that says he was forced to resign as part of a cover-up for another cop that was committing felonies? What if I show you that police chief suing the city, right? And then what if I show you, which I am going to show you him suing the city. I'm going to show you the documentation. But what if I also show you that the city settled out of court? They settled with him. They paid him. They paid him. All right, man, look, you got us. We busted. My hand in the cookie jar. We know that this cop was committing felonies. We're trying to cover up for this cop committing felonies. I forced you to resign because you was a snitch and you was snitching on the dirty, filthy activities of the Texas City Police in cahoots with the mayor's office, right? Listen, I'm gonna just pay you off. And the man won a settlement. And I got the documentation to prove that he won the settlement. And I show you how much he won. And get this, I even show you, I go into these guys' background, I go into these guys' records. I'm gonna show you before Chief Robert Burby, and I'm just throwing a lot of this stuff out there because I want you guys to, you know what, I gotta read this book to really see exactly what the real bookworm is talking about. We had a police chief named Robert Burby. Before he was the police chief of Texas City, he was the police chief of a place called Holly Springs, right? A place called Holly Springs. What if I show you lawsuits that implement him in Holly Springs, doing the same kind of stuff that was going on right here in Texas City, Texas? I got the records. I got all of them. I'm telling you, cops, man. Now listen, this, man, I'm smiling, but it's really not even a laughing matter. This is so serious, and I know they're not gonna like this. But I got Texas City cops committing murder, assault, sexual assault, being accused of rape, being accused of being racist by the other officers, being accused of violating the rights of the citizens and getting away with it. I got them being accused of being involved in illegal arms deals. I got them accused of manipulating the media, the news media, and I show you a compromised editor of that news media that they say was part of the cover-up. You connect the dots on your own, right? I got them picking up prostitutes, right? I got them sexually harassing females, and when those females speak out, those females get fired. I got documentation of that more than one time with more than one officer. Okay, I got them violating constitutional rights, and I got them admitting that they violated constitutional rights. I have officers bringing up trumped up charges on other officers, and then those officers having to take the administration to court and beat the case, showing that it was a trumped up charge. I have some of these officers being guilty of committing felony injury to a child. I got some of these officers being found guilty of what is called unlawful restraint. Right, you got one officer. It looked like it was his wife or something like that. You know, somebody with the same last name, so it's somebody in his family, most likely his wife. He grabbed her and forced her into a room. She had to call the police on him. I got that. I got cops, Texas City cops, right, trying to scam the government out of funds. After a hurricane, I got Texas City cops trying to scam FEMA, right? I show you where I've had to personally file several complaints against the Texas City Police Department. I put those complaints in there. I tell you all about it. I have a documented lawsuit, right? I show you a lawsuit where somebody filed a lawsuit against some of these same key players right here in Texas City. Lawsuits where members of the community were saying that they were being assaulted. Okay, even in Lamar, I show you the Lamar police chief getting fired for unethical activities, right? I show you complaints that were filed against the Lamar. I mean, it's information overload. It's information overload. This is 100% proof. You know, within this book, you're gonna get the narrative. Right, you're gonna get the narrative. I'm basically explaining what happened with me and my brother between 2010 and 2016. And this is only volume 1. There's a lot more, but I had to compartmentalize the information. And it was between 2010 and 2016 that I began to research this real tough. And I really started to uncover all of this. And what I did is I had made a documentary about it. But in 2012, some Texas City police officers, I allege, hacked my computer and deleted my documentary, and I was never able to release it to the public. So I also include some information about that, about how, you know, right before it got deleted, cops were coming to my door, knocking on the door, saying that they were looking for people that didn't live there, that me nor my wife even knew. Saying that they were, one time they said they were looking for a runaway. They said they were looking for somebody that was wanted. None of these people I even knew. But they were just trying to find a way to get inside of my home because I was bragging about this documentary that I had. And then the documentary, my computer get hacked and the documentary magically get deleted with all of my footage, right? All of my footage gets deleted, the documentary gets deleted, and I can't release it, you know? But that was back in 2012. So I just kept pushing, I just kept researching, I just kept compiling stuff. And so what I wanted to do now is I wanted to release all of that information and all of the information that I got after that, and I wanted to release it in book form. And that's why it's really important that you guys go out there and y'all get that book so this information can be out there. Because if they would hack my computer and come into my home and delete all the files on my computer while I'm away at work, then I know that they would try to get this book stopped, and I know that they'll try to get this book snatched off the shelves. But if everybody already owns it, if the information is already out there, there's nothing that they can do. So you can go to Amazon.com, right? Type in Big Game Hunting. Big Game Hunting by Matthew Daniels. Get that paperback. You can get the paperback for $10. $10 and whatever the shipping is on Amazon. Or you can download the ebook version of it for just $1.99. Right? $1.99. This, I'm telling you, this is all fact, no fiction. The information I put in this book, it will blow your mind. So go out and get that book, Big Game Hunting by Matthew Daniels. Get the paperback for $10. You can get the ebook version for $1.99. Go ahead and download that. Get that information before it goes bye-bye like my documentary did. Okay, there's so much more I can say, but I'm gonna leave it at that for now. Also, I have 2 other books. This is the 3rd book that I've released in 11 months. I'm pushing this information out there, right? While you're on Amazon, after you order Big Game Hunting, I want you to go in and type in Suicide Note by Matthew Daniels. You can get that in paperback or ebook version as well. I want you to order that Suicide Note by Matthew Daniels. And I want you to type in Thicker Than Water by Matthew Daniels. I want you to get that Thicker Than Water by Matthew Daniels as well. Okay, so get those books. Get Big Game Hunting for sure, volume 1. This volume 1. Get Big Game Hunting, volume 1 for sure. For sure. So you can have all the documentation that you need to understand the filth that's going on right under your nose and the cover up and the people that's working hard to cover up this information to keep it from getting out to you. Get that suicide note, get that thickening water. I greatly appreciate it. I'll be coming back showing you guys a little later, and I may be getting a little more specific with some of the stuff in the book. I may even read you guys some of the chapters, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This your brother, Matthew Daniels, aka Ampu, aka The Chosen Few, aka The Real Bookworm. I'm not a bookworm, world. I'm the real bookworm. You hear me? Not a bookworm. I'm the real bookworm. Make sure you get it right. And as always, world, may your name live on forever, and may your memory never die. Hotel, cheers to that. Peace. I'm out.